Do you remember me telling you that this is a safe channel where I accept that you comment and read everything that you want to comment and read about? Well, now you have to accept my trashy taste in vampire things. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a manga review of the first two volumes of Rosen Blood by Kashiru Ishisue. And of course you can already see by the covers that this is going to be trashy vampire stories. However, I have just finished reading volume 2. I have reread volume 1 and read volume 2, and there's more to the story than just being a little bit trashy. So this is published by Viz Media, and it's a shoujo beat manga, which means it's a romance manga. And in this case, I will first tell you the plot, then I will tell you what I think about the manga in general. However, you already know that I do enjoy vampire stories and vampire romance. It's kind of the only type of paranormal romance that I'm interested in, and because of that, you can already guess that I will probably enjoy this. If this is perfect and not cliche, not at all. But if you do like vampire romances, then this could be a really cool manga series. I don't know how many volumes this series will have, but I do know that these two are intriguing and interesting, and it's a new take on vampires. So it could be interesting for you all. So I'm just going to put Rosen Blood Volume 1 up here and tell you a little bit about the story of this manga series. So from what I can gather, and I'm going to tell a little bit of this first volume, because I feel like the first volume of a manga is never a spoiler because it's like the first chapter or the prologue of a novel. I don't believe that you can understand a manga series just for the first volume of it. I mean, you can see if you don't like it, but if you're like so about it, you can't give a rating yet to the series just from one volume. At least this is my particular opinion. You can state otherwise, I don't mind, it's okay. So the story portrayed in here, it's about Stella. She was on her way to become a maid for some people. She was on a carriage and her carriage had an accident, and she was apparently saved by this young vampire called Levi. And she is now living in this mansion with 4 vampires, Levi and his brothers, let's just say like that. And they're all vampires. One of them is completely crazed out with hunger for blood, but the other 3 eat this sort of red crystals that are supposed to satiate their hunger. So I'm not going to tell you how that works because it's a plot point in volume 2 and in the middle of volume 1 that you have to find out by yourself, but it is blood crystals, so it has something to do with people. But she decides, once she finds out what they are, that they are like cursed, and she cannot fathom how such kind vampires are cursed to like have to eat these blood crystals for eternity, and she thinks it's really sad that they're all there alone. And so she's like, okay, I will help you, maybe through my tears or through my saliva or through a little bit of blood, I can help you feed and be happy and not needing for anything. And so she's there like a maid, but she's also there like a food source of somewhat. And it has to do with the relationship between the brothers and their relationship with her. So of course, if you've read any type of romance or you've heard about any type of romance, you would know that this fits the dark romance genre and also the reverse harem trope. So what does this mean? This means that instead of being a man with many women, so a harem, it's a woman, in this case Stella, with many men. And obviously, if we're talking about she giving to them sustenance like bodily fluids, of course we can see the erotic part in here. And so it's like, who are you rooting for to be like Stella's main person, or do we want her to have them all? And of course that this is not I wouldn't say that this is peak development literature. However, it is really fun. It's very, very dark. I like the art style, and I think that there are some topics here that are approached that are interesting. So not only in volume 1, but also in volume 2 and more in volume 2, we can see the relationship between the brothers, what they had to do to survive, and what part does each other play in their relationship and in their family dynamics, and how Stella getting into this dynamic, why she's there, what is going on, and how she is going to influence their relationships between each other, and how she's going to influence the family dynamics and also the relationship dynamics that they show to each other. There's going to be betrayal, obviously, there's going to be strange situations, let's just say, but I'm very excited to see where the plot is going. Reading the first one, I have to admit that I thought it was just a cliche paranormal romance with very much cliche lines. But now reading the second one, even though it is still cliche and it is still what it is, it doesn't try to be anything else, it does have a development on story and on the mythology of vampirism and vampires in this specific world. So I'm really happy to see that Kashiru Ishizue actually invented a new type of vampirism lore, so to say, because it's something that I like to see. I know that a lot of people say, I don't want anything different. Vampire lore is created and is so. But I really like to see differences between the authors and what they believe. It will be fun to explore in vampire novels. And so for that reason alone, I think that if you like vampire novels, and if you can sustain the fact that this is basically romance novels, very, very dark, but very, very romantic, actually, then you would be able to enjoy the fact that the lore is completely different and see that the relationships between those characters are completely different from what we are used to. Overall, I'm very intrigued by Rosen Blood, and I want to continue with this series. Hopefully, if the series is short, I can still review it for you in the end and tell you what I thought about them, and then actually tell you if you should or not read it. But for now, for the first 2 volumes, I think it's interesting. If you like manga, if you want to invest in short mangas, this one is perfect, and I think that you should do so. Obviously, I want you all to know that my opinion is not the opinion, okay? So if you don't like vampire romances or even paranormal lore of any situation, dark romance, reverse harem romance, then you might not want to read this. I want to tell you that there's been no explicit material yet, but there's been inferences and a lot of insinuation material. So if you're a young reader, I would say be careful for what comes next, because I don't know if the representation of sexuality will be in the best way possible, since we are talking about obviously a dark romance, which is not for younger ages. But for now, well, they do state that this is for older teens. However, it depends on maturity, in my opinion, and it depends of what you see and if you can understand that this is fiction, obviously. So it's not a staple of normal relationships between human beings or creatures. So that's going to be all for this review. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you do pick it up if it's something that you'll be interested in. And that's going to be all for today. If you like this video, leave a like or subscribe, and happy readings to you all. Bye!